Okay, so you're probably someone with super high standards. You set big goals. You have high expectations of yourself, and you want to make a real impact. You want to excel. And yet you still feel like you're fighting and getting average results, or you're so afraid that you're doing all these things and it's just enough to kind of be okay, that you've struggled to actually see yourself for as extraordinary as you are. Not because you're average, not even close, but because there's some sneaky patterns at play. Half commitment, micro excuses, comparing yourself to others, perfectionism in disguise. And here's a truth that not a lot of people are talking about, that we're going to talk about today, is that high achievers are so afraid of being average, but we're resistant to admitting that we're extraordinary. Because if you owned your greatness, it would be too vulnerable, and then they would put pressure, and you haven't learned how to manage that pressure. So in this episode, we're calling it out. We're going to talk about the exact reasons why you're playing smaller than you think, how I'll start tomorrow, or I need to do more is destroying your momentum, and why your micro excuses are costing you in macro results. If you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself to do more, and you're afraid that you're just average, you're afraid that you don't stand out as much as you want to, this episode is for you. You're listening to the Confidence Podcast, where we do confidence coaching for driven, high-achieving women who want more. Because high-achieving women deserve high-level confidence. I'm your host, Trish Blackwell. Let's get started. Hey guys, welcome to the Confidence Podcast. You're listening to episode 656, Why You're Getting Average Results. I'm Trish Blackwell, your confidence coach. And let's just start. The fact that you care if you're average or not means you're not average. But the reason we're having this conversation is because in my one-on-one practice, I work with very, very driven, high-achieving women who are extraordinary. And 95% of them, I mean like extraordinary, like running businesses, partners in law firms, ER physicians, like high achievers, published books, Hollywood, covers of magazines, like high achieving. And almost every single one, large percentage, think that they're just doing what everyone would do. They're just average. And it's such an interesting conversation because I've been there. And the reason I have this conversation is because I know it, because there is something in my high achieving brain that says, oh, you have to do this much just to kind of get by. You're just good enough. I can acknowledge and look at the resume of accomplishments and yet still discount them because I said, no, I just worked hard. I was just lucky. And we discount our results. You're discounting your result, your success, but then also because you are not seeing yourself for who you really are, for how extraordinary you really are, for the leader in this world that you are, for the person of one of my favorite phrases of high capacity that you are. You are settling into averageness in a very unique way. So your averageness is still extraordinary, but you're settling for average behaviors that will keep you smaller and less impactful than you were created to be, in my opinion. And we're going to talk about that. One of my clients, we were having a conversation, and she is a very, very driven, very, very successful businesswoman. And she was blocked. And I said, well, you're just doing what average people are doing here. And she said, what? I said, overthinking. And we had a conversation. That's why what drove me to this podcast topic was, let's talk about what are the average habits that keep people less than what they can be. And often it's I want to think bigger, or I want to do more, but I need it to be perfect. It's the overthinking. It's the delay of decision. Extraordinary people who make impact in this world, they trust themselves. They take massive action. They go all out. They do the extra work. And so if you want to make sure that you're more than average, do more, be better. And here's what average people do. They don't spend time visualizing. They don't spend time prioritizing their high-level mindset habits. The average person is overextended, overcapacitated, overcommitted, and stuck in people-pleasing. The average person doesn't know how to talk back to their thoughts or reframe their thoughts. And the average person overthinks. They wait for the perfect time. So if any of those resonate, and this is why I'm really just speaking to my really driven, motivated people here. And if there's a habit that I just listed that you know that you're falling into, I think one of the most compelling ways to call ourselves out of it versus, oh, I need to get better at that, because I'm not trying to add one more thing to your to-do list. I can tell you from my personal experience, when I've noticed some of those habits in myself, I'm like massively compelled to change because I'm like, I just don't want to be average. I don't want the results the average person has. Because let's be honest, high achievers, if you're driven to be a high achiever, if you have a deep desire for excellence, we also are terrified of mediocrity, but we are unconsciously accepting average results in certain areas of our life. Because why? Because we haven't taken full ownership of our extraordinary potential. And that's why I wanted you to hear this today. You have high capacity. You have extraordinary potential. Are you taking full ownership so that you stop sabotaging success? You stop being afraid to shine. You stop being worried, well, I mean, if you look at what you've accomplished and you go, I'm running circles around other people, but I know I have more. Maybe I should just not push myself. And it's not that you're thinking that overtly, but we start getting distracted by comparing ourselves to others. But if you're listening to this, chances are you have high capacity, so much massive untapped potential, and you were wired with a desire to want to figure it out, to want to maximize it. And the reason why is, and listen, it's not a jab at people who get average results. It's a awakening to say, if you don't want an average life, let's make sure we're not doing the mindset habits that average people do. Average people, sometimes their habits, sometimes don't. Average people who get average fitness results, it's easy when we have a context, because I don't believe any person's average. I believe we are all absolute masterpieces created by God. So let's put that there first. But the average fitness results come from somebody with average habits, average fitness habits, average workout habits, average nutrition habits. Someone who's extraordinarily fit has extraordinary habits. And so let's look at the results in relation to the habits. And when I look at how I want my life, your life is a reflection of the thoughts that you think, because your thoughts create your emotions, and your emotions create your actions create your results. And it all goes back to our thoughts. So if my thoughts are what create my results in my life, then I need to have high-level thought habits, meaning I can't indulge in perfectionistic thinking. I can't indulge in that self-critical voice. I can't indulge in overthinking or waiting for the perfect time, because that's what the average person gets. So what are the average results in a life that someone gets? Well, I looked up a couple things. Average life expectancy is 73 years for men, 79 for women. This is in the United States. I'm more interested in the average happiness level. And 47% of Americans say they feel happy sometimes. I'm not down for that. That means the majority of people are not happy. Also, not all the time. I don't want the average happiness level. The average debt, at least in the United States, average total debt, including mortgage, is $101,000, but non-mortgage per adult is $23,000. I don't want that. Average weight for a man is 199 pounds. Average weight for a woman is 170. Average books read per year, 17. I don't want that. I want 50, right? Average vacations per year, people take 1. I'm not down for that either. And so I think we get stuck into this, like, if I don't want that, if I want something different, I have to do different. You don't have to do a lot different. We just have to think differently. And there's this lie that I found myself in of I'm doing my best. And most high achievers say I'm doing everything I can, but secretly, you know you're not all in. Secretly, you know that there's something you can do that's more, but you're afraid to do because then you're really afraid of, what if I make that extra effort and it doesn't pay off? But also I think we say we're doing our best because we actually, sometimes it feels like we are, because our best within the context of the overcommitments we've made, of the busy life we've created, is meaning how we're showing up, is that within the context of what's available to us, our best. But being busy is not the same as being committed. And a high achiever who is able to get more out of life than somebody else and maximize their potential and maximize their income potential and maximize their happiness and their relationships is somebody who is looking at, what are my priorities? They know who they are, they know what they want, and they know what they want their future to be. Those are three of the core pillars of my pillars of confidence. And so they are confidently then managing their habits that are going to help them show up every day to invest in those, so they are able to say no more to the things that don't matter and yes to the things that do. And so some of the lies that we tell ourselves is, hey, I'm just waiting for the right time. And that's not true. You're avoiding discomfort or the risk of imperfection, the risk of looking stupid, the risk of doing it wrong, of disappointing others. Maybe you're saying to yourself, I'm doing everything I can. And the truth is, you're doing everything more often. And I'm raising my hand here. I'm not just pointing the finger. This finger points back at me at certain times in my life. I was doing everything comfortable, not everything required. I often also stayed stuck in this lie for a long time. I'm just a perfectionist. And the truth is, you're using perfectionism to justify procrastination or fear of judgment, fear of putting yourself out there, fear of what are they going to say, fear of, am I not good enough? If I think this is great, are they going to go, that's just average? Maybe the lie is, I need to feel more motivated, or I need to know more what to do. And you're relying on feelings instead of decisions. Another lie of perfectionists and high achievers that's keeping them playing small and actually keeping you more average than you were created to be is, I don't want to rush it. I want to do it right. And I'm all about great work, but there is something to success has speed and momentum. And you're letting your fear of failure stall you in endless prep mode, endless research mode. Maybe you're saying to yourself, I'm too busy right now. And the reality with busyness, we already touched on this, is you're prioritizing distractions or low leverage work to avoid the hard stuff. What are we avoiding? That's what so it's such an interesting question that I ask myself. And it's a journal question that I do. I would say I do this journal question in an open journaling once a month. And I don't ever love it, but I get such breakthrough from it. And open journaling, by the way, it's just a method where you take on your journal on a piece of paper, and at the top you write the question. Then you take a timer. It could be on your phone. I have a nice little flip timer, and you do it for 5 minutes or 15 minutes, and you let yourself free write. You let your brain, without judgment, answer the question: what am I avoiding in my life right now? Is there anything I'm avoiding? And it will help you take full ownership. And by the way, if you want to become somebody who has higher level thinking, one of the simplest habits you can have is to journal 5 minutes a day. And there's a structure to journaling it's not just didactic, like, oh, dear diary, here's what I did today. There's a structure to journaling for growth. And if you don't yet know how to do it, go grab my journal mastery bundle. You can get it. I'll make sure it's linked in the show notes, trishblackwell.com/journal. I've packaged it all up. I teach you every approach to journaling that I know for growth, and they're all simple and easy to do. It's all $17. So go grab that, and I'll walk you through this. This is one of the best things you can do to start leveling up your mindset so that you stop settling for average thinking patterns. Another lie of doing my best that holds back high achievers is that I don't want to come off as arrogant. You start dimming your lights to make others comfortable. Please don't ever do that. I did it for too long. Your job's not to make other people feel comfortable. Your job is to call them up to a higher standard, to show them that they were made for more too, that there's more in you, and you don't have to apologize for your success. You don't have to apologize for your happiness, your joy, your drive, for any of that. You just are determined to do the most with your life that you can. Two more lies that I think we fall into are the lie that it's not working, so maybe I'm not meant to do this. And the truth is, you're expecting results instantaneously. We're getting caught into the microwave culture that we live in, and we need to remind ourselves mentally that results take time, that seeds have a process. You have to water the seed, water, and patiently wait for the payout. That your greatest strength is your long-term consistency. And sometimes we also get caught and held back, and we water down and we delay and we overthink because we're telling ourselves, well, I'm just going to be responsible by playing it safe. And so you delay your decisions. And anytime you delay your decision, you delay your dream. And the truth is you're avoiding risk to protect your ego, not your finances, not your future. And this is where we call ourselves up to the higher level. And I want you to be really honest with yourself, and very much with the same question I said, where am I avoiding things? Another great open journaling question that I would challenge you to do today is, where am I half committing? This is hard for me to walk through when I do these journaling prompts. Where am I hesitating? Where am I tweaking instead of doing? Where am I thinking and researching but not starting? Where am I afraid of going all in because failure would feel too personal? And why am I so attached to that definition of failure when I cognitively know and intellectually know that failure is part of the process, that the more I fail, the more I win, that failure is a stepping stone on the path to success. So why am I avoiding it here? What meaning, what narrative, what am I attaching to the failure? What is the story I'm telling myself about that potential failure? And is there a better way to tell the story? When I started changing my narrative about my story and my attachment to failure, everything in my life changed. I started making more money in my business, started having better results in all areas of my life, and in my personal life, in my physical life. All of it changed because I had to change my narrative. And if you don't yet know how to change your narrative, we'll begin doing an entire episode coming up here on the Confidence Podcast. So make sure you are following. It'll be in the next couple of weeks on narrative intelligence. And if you want to get a jump start, I did an entire course on it called Narrative Intelligence Mastery, because it is your NQ. It's your, I think it's the most critical element to confidence, is to change and improve and elevate your narrative intelligence. And in that course, the Narrative Intelligence Mastery, I teach you all of the high level thinking habits on how to master your narrative, how to change your thoughts, how to do the work of thinking at a higher level so you can be the high achiever that you were created to be. And we often masquerade when the narrative is not analyzed and questioned. We allow our fear ends up masquerading as logic. We're like, oh, I'm just balanced, but it often is just fear or resistance. And then when we delay and we overthink and we over research or over analyze, what it's doing is it's actually chipping away at your confidence, because it's creating a gap of self-trust, meaning there's a gap between a delay of self-trust. And when you fully believe in yourself and you fully believe in your decisions and you fully believe in your ability to follow through, fall down, get back up, keep going, analyze, assess, move on, elevate, and you trust that you make good decisions, and that even when you make a decision that needs to be changed, that you're really good at pivoting. Self-trust is so critical to this. And the more you make decisions with speed, with action, with precision, with commitment and absolute full commitment, the more confidence and self-trust you will have. When you show up with confidence, things go smoother. You get better results. And so I have a couple reflection questions for you to ask yourself. Where in your life are you saying yes with your mouth, but maybe with your efforts? Or later with your follow through? What are you afraid would happen if you went all in? If you allowed yourself to all out shine? And if you knew success was guaranteed, what would you do differently today? And how would you feel differently today? What would happen to that pressure that I know that we all feel of I hope this works. Is it going to work? Is it going to work? Does it work? What if you just changed it and said, everything is working? I love my life. I am living the dream of activating and optimizing my fullest potential. You go from being someone who takes initiative and action to being somebody who optimizes. What does full commitment look like and feel like for you? And what are the micro quits that you've allowed to become habits? Where are you making any excuses in your life? If you're going to be a high level thinker, if you're going to be extraordinary people, extraordinary athletes don't make excuses. Extraordinary business people don't wait for circumstantial excuses to hold them back from growing their business. The recession, the market, the this. Okay, and what are we going to do about it? When you can attack your excuses, you change everything. But in order to attack our excuses, we have to be honest about, where am I making excuses? And often we make excuses. And one of the keys to figuring out where am I making excuses is to ask yourself, where am I complaining? What am I complaining about? If you can identify what you're complaining about, chances are that's going to link to figuring out what am I making an excuse about? And these are subtle self-sabotaging things that make you just go, I'll just play small, or I'll wait till it's a better time. You have to step up and step in. And if there's a sign, here's how to know if you are not fully claiming your fullest high capacity potential. If you are over-explaining yourself, if you are downplaying compliments or your success, if you hesitate to speak up, to ask for what you want, to be promoted, to go be visible, to put yourself out there, if you know that you're half committed, if you know that you're falling into complaining or negativity or micro excuses, or if you are pretty good at working at small goals, but you procrastinate on your big dreams, if you over prepare, but then underleap, or if you coach yourselves, you coach others and encourage others more than you coach and do that and believe in yourself. And a couple more reflection thoughts. As you start going here, what's the fix here? The fix here is radical ownership. It's a little bit what we talked about last week, radical ownership. What part of you is afraid to be seen as extraordinary? Why are you afraid to shine? What evidence already exists that you're not average, that you didn't get your results by chance, by luck, that this imposter syndrome that you're wrestling with is really just in your head, that the results you have are a reflection of the capacity and your commitment and your effort of your past. And how would your daily actions, how would you show up differently if you already believed you were made for greatness, you were meant for greatness, that you have the potential to make a world-class impact, that there truly is no limit on what you can achieve, on how much money you can make, on what your body can look like, on the quality of the relationship that your marriage can have, on you have no limitations except for the ones that you are putting on yourself. I want you today to believe that you are extraordinary and that absolutely anything is possible. And an affirmation for you that I wanted to share is that my power begins where my excuses end. Other listens, if you are jamming out on this topic and you're ready to stop overthinking and stop making excuses and stop getting stuck in your head and stop with small average habits, first and foremost, last week's episode 655 was a great listen on consistency and how to systemize your consistency so that you follow through no matter what, because extraordinary results happen as a result of ordinary habits done with extraordinary consistency. But also, episode 571 is a really great episode and listen on excuses that are holding you back and how to stop them for good. The truth is that we don't realize we're making excuses. We just have a lot of explanations and justifications, and we say things like, well, I just am an overthinker, or I really want to make the right decision. And then we put pressure on ourselves and then we put it off. Those are all excuses. It's all lumped in and it's holding you back and making you smaller and less impactful in this world than you can and should be. And then episode 607 is one of our most listened to episodes. It's micro complaining and how to stop. And as we said, the reason that is going to be a good listen for you is that what we complain about gives us insight to where we're making excuses. And once you take radical ownership of your complaints and your excuses, then we can take massive action on calling ourselves and our habits up to a higher, more extraordinary level. You don't need to be afraid to be average or mediocre. We just need to take full responsibility for our actions and give ourselves permission to shine. I want to remind you guys, make sure if you're not yet following the show, hit that subscribe button so you get the freshest episode gets dropped every time that I release a new episode. And if this resonated today with you, or if you have a friend who is driven, who puts a lot of pressure on themselves, who is a high achiever, send this to them. And remember this, you were made for more. Go live like it. Thanks for listening to the Confidence Podcast and allowing me to be your coach today in your life. If you love the show, please let us know by leaving a review in iTunes. Are you encouraged by what you learned? Share this episode with a friend and let us know that this show is changing your life by saying hi to us on social media at Instagram, Trish_Blackwell, or on Facebook, Trish Blackwell Coaching. Ready to take what I teach and really take it to the next level? Join us today in the College of Confidence. It's my group coaching program that you can join risk-free and cancel anytime. In the COC, you'll scale your confidence, your courage, and the changes you make in your life. It's the coaching support and community you've been looking for. Go to www.collegeofconfidence.com to get started. If you love the podcast, you will love the College of Confidence even more and see even more transformation in your life. Come and see for yourself. I'm cheering you on, friend. See you soon.